Close your eyes for a moment and imagine stepping into a kitchen from 1975. Can you smell it? That peculiar combination of percolating coffee, something baking in an avocado green oven, and perhaps the faint metallic scent of aluminum cookware on the stovetop. The colors alone would shock anyone walking in from 2025. Those bold harvest golds, burnt oranges, and those ubiquitous avocado greens that somehow dominated every appliance, every countertop, every piece of kitchenware. But it wasn't just the aesthetic that made 70s kitchens different. It was the tools, the gadgets, the everyday items that filled drawers and cabinets and countertops. Walk into any home in the 1970s, and you'd find remarkable consistency. Certain items were simply universal, not because of clever marketing or trends, but because they worked, because they served purposes that seemed permanent, because no one could imagine a kitchen without them. Yet here we are, 5 decades later, and most of these items have vanished. Not gradually, not with fanfare, but quietly, replaced by modern alternatives, or simply rendered obsolete by changing habits and technologies. Today we're going on a journey through these lost treasures of the 70s kitchen. These items that once seemed as permanent as the walls themselves, but have now become curious relics that younger generations wouldn't even recognize. For those of us who remember them, each item carries memories, triggers something deep in our consciousness, a connection to childhood, to family, to a time when kitchens were different places, serving different purposes. The kitchen items. The rotary wall phone. Every 70s kitchen had a phone mounted on the wall, usually in harvest gold or avocado green, with that impossibly long coiled cord that could stretch halfway across the room. To make a call, you'd stick your finger in the hole for each number and rotate the dial clockwise until it hit the stop, then let it spin back. The cord was its own universe, stretching to incredible lengths as you moved around doing other tasks while talking, but also getting hopelessly tangled into knots that required you to hold the handset up and let it spin freely to unwind. That phone was the family's lifeline, and when it rang with that mechanical double bell sound, someone had to answer because there was no voicemail, no way to know who was calling. Teenagers would sit on the floor conducting their social lives while Mom cooked dinner 3 feet away. You can't mount a cell phone on the wall or stretch its cord across the kitchen, and the kitchen phone's absence changed the fundamental nature of the kitchen as a communications hub. Two, the fondue set. If there was one item that screamed 1970s entertaining, it was the fondue set. Nearly every household had at least one, often received as a wedding gift, sitting in its special box with the ceramic pot, the metal stand, the little forks with color-coded handles, the fuel canisters for heating. Fondue parties were social events, gatherings where friends would sit around dipping bread into melted cheese, or later in the evening, strawberries and pound cake into melted chocolate. The Swiss had been doing fondue for generations, but it became an American craze in the 70s, a way to make dinner interactive and fun. The fondue pot itself was often beautiful, decorated with patterns, sitting proudly in the center of the table on its stand, with the little flame underneath keeping everything molten. The specialized forks were color-coded so everyone knew which was theirs, preventing the social faux pas of mixing up utensils. There were rules, too, unwritten but understood. If you dropped your bread in the cheese, you had to kiss the person next to you, or buy the next round of drinks, or accept some other playful penalty. Making fondue required patience and technique. The cheese had to be the right blend, melted at the right temperature with wine and garlic and a touch of kirsch. too hot and it would break, becoming grainy and separated. Too cool and it would solidify into an inedible mass. You had to keep it in that perfect zone, and there was genuine skill involved. Chocolate fondue was simpler, but no less delightful. Pure indulgence, communal dessert where everyone participated. The fondue set represented a particular vision of entertaining, one that was participatory, leisurely, and social in a way that seems almost quaint now. We don't gather around pots of melted cheese anymore. Our entertaining has become more casual in some ways, more elaborate in others, but less likely to involve specialized equipment that only gets used for specific types of parties. Those fondue sets, once proudly displayed and regularly used, migrated to the back of cabinets, then to basements and attics, then finally to garage sales and thrift stores, where they sit as artifacts of a different era of hospitality. Three, the pressure cooker. Before Instant Pots became the darling of modern kitchens, there was the pressure cooker, and it was everywhere in the 70s. These were serious pieces of equipment, heavy aluminum or stainless steel pots with locking lids and pressure valves on top that would hiss and rock when the pressure built up inside. Pressure cookers were essential for busy households because they cut cooking time dramatically. A pot roast that normally took 3 hours could be done in 45 minutes. Tough cuts of meat became tender. Beans that needed overnight soaking and hours of cooking could be ready in a fraction of the time. The science was simple but impressive. By cooking under pressure, the boiling point of water increased, allowing food to cook at higher temperatures and thus faster. But pressure cookers also had a reputation, a dangerous one. There were stories, possibly apocryphal but widely believed, of pressure cookers exploding, launching lids through ceilings, spraying kitchens with scalding food. These fears weren't entirely unfounded. Early models could be dangerous if used incorrectly, if the pressure valve got clogged, if the seal wasn't properly secured. That hissing, rocking valve on top was both reassuring and terrifying, a visible indicator that tremendous pressure was building inside this pot on your stove. Using a pressure cooker required attention and respect. You had to understand the timing, had to know when to reduce heat, had to wait for the pressure to release naturally, or use the quick release method carefully to avoid steam burns. Recipes were specific, detailed, with warnings and cautions. But for women managing households and trying to get dinner on the table efficiently, pressure cookers were invaluable. They saved time, saved energy, produced consistently good results once you mastered the technique. The decline of the traditional pressure cooker came partly from safety concerns, partly from the microwave revolution that offered even faster heating, and partly from changing cooking habits. The rise of convenience foods, takeout, and eventually the modern electric pressure cooker all contributed. Today's Instant Pot is a pressure cooker too, but it's computerized with multiple safety features, programmable settings, different functions beyond just pressure cooking. It's easier, safer, more versatile, but it's also less hands-on, less requiring of skill and attention. The old stovetop pressure cooker with its rocking valve was a tool that demanded respect and knowledge. And in its passing, another small piece of kitchen expertise became obsolete. 4. The Tupperware collection. Tupperware in the 1970s wasn't just food storage. It was a lifestyle, a social phenomenon, and a mark of being a modern, organized homemaker. Every kitchen had cabinets full of Tupperware containers in various sizes, all in those distinctive colors, that specific shade of orange, that particular harvest gold, the browns and avocados that matched everything else. The containers were revolutionary for their time, truly airtight seals that kept food fresh far longer than old-fashioned containers. Burpable lids that you'd press down and then lift one edge to hear that satisfying hiss of air escaping. Tupperware was sold through home parties, social gatherings where a representative would demonstrate the products, show their features, share recipes and storage tips, and take orders. These parties were events, excuses for women to get together, socialize, see their friends' homes, and yes, buy plastic storage containers. The social aspect was as important as the product. The Tupperware lady became a fixture in many communities, a woman who ran her own business from home, earning income while still being available for her family. The products themselves were designed thoughtfully. There were containers for everything: cereal keepers, lettuce crispers, ice cream containers that supposedly kept ice cream at the perfect scooping consistency, Jell-O molds, cake carriers, pitcher sets, salt and pepper shakers. Everything nested together for storage. Lids matched specific bases, and the design encouraged collecting full sets. Tupperware represented order and efficiency, the promise that you could organize your kitchen, reduce waste, keep food fresh, and do it all with style. Tupperware parties peaked in the 70s and 80s, but the culture around them has largely disappeared. You can still buy Tupperware, though the company has faced bankruptcy and restructuring. But mostly we buy generic plastic storage containers at Target or IKEA, disposable and replaceable, without the social network or the sense of joining a community. We've kept the function but lost the ritual, and our kitchens are less colorful for it. Five, the avocado green or harvest gold appliances. This might be the most visually distinctive element of the 70s kitchen. Those bold, earthy colors that dominated every major appliance. Refrigerators, stoves, dishwashers, even small appliances like toasters and mixers, all came in avocado green, harvest gold, copper tone, and burnt orange. These weren't accent colors, they were the default, the standard options that manufacturers offered and consumers embraced enthusiastically. The trend started in the late 60s and ruled through most of the 70s. It represented a break from the sterile white and stainless steel of previous decades, an embrace of color and personality in the kitchen. These earth tones were meant to bring warmth, to connect to nature, to make the kitchen feel less clinical and more livable. And for a time, it worked. Everyone had them, and they created a remarkably unified aesthetic across millions of American homes. The appliances themselves were built to last, heavy, solid, repairable. A refrigerator from 1975 could easily still be running today if maintained, though by now it would be hopelessly inefficient by modern energy standards. The colors were baked into the enamel, permanent and bold. You couldn't easily change them, which meant your kitchen's color scheme was determined by your appliances, and everything else had to coordinate. The fall of colored appliances was swift and brutal once it started. By the early 80s, white was making a comeback as the preferred neutral that would match any decor. Then stainless steel became the status symbol, the mark of a serious professional-style kitchen. The earth tones became dated, then ugly, then ironic, then vintage cool, cycling through the phases of aesthetic death and rebirth. but they never regained dominance. Today, a functioning avocado green refrigerator is either a treasured vintage piece or something desperately in need of replacement, depending on your perspective. Those colors defined an era so completely that they became inseparable from it. And when the era ended, the colors had to go too. Modern appliances are white, black, or stainless steel, meant to blend into the background rather than make statements. We've lost the personality, the boldness, the willingness to commit to a color scheme that would last for years. Six, the electric percolator coffee maker. Before Mr. Coffee, before Keurig, before espresso machines and French presses became standard, coffee in the 70s was made in electric percolators. These distinctive devices sat on kitchen counters, usually stainless steel or aluminum, with a glass knob on top through which you could watch the coffee perking. The sound was part of the morning ritual. That rhythmic gurgling as the water boiled got forced up through a tube and sprayed over the coffee grounds again and again, extracting more flavor with each cycle. The smell of percolating coffee became synonymous with morning, with waking up, with the start of the day. Percolators made strong coffee, sometimes bitter coffee, because the brewing process continued as long as the pot was on, and you couldn't really stop it at an optimal moment. Coffee sat in that pot for hours, kept warm by the heating element, getting stronger and more bitter as the day went on. By afternoon, the coffee might be thick enough to stand a spoon in, but people drank it anyway, adding cream and sugar to compensate. The ritual of making coffee was simple but required some attention. You'd fill the pot with water to the right level, put the coffee grounds in the basket, assemble everything correctly, plug it in, and wait. The first few cycles would produce weak coffee, but as the perking continued, it would darken, and you'd know by the color visible through that glass knob when it was ready. There was an art to getting the proportions right, to knowing how much coffee to use, how much water, when to turn it off or turn down the heat. Percolators fell out of favor with the introduction of drip coffee makers in the early 70s. Mr. Coffee's automatic drip system premiered in 1972 and quickly became the new standard. Drip makers produced cleaner-tasting coffee, didn't over-extract, and were easier to use. By the end of the decade, percolators were already becoming obsolete, relegated to church basements and office break rooms where large quantities of coffee needed to be made and kept warm indefinitely. The percolator represented a more patient approach to coffee, one where you waited for the process to complete, where the brewing itself was part of the experience, audible and visible. Modern coffee makers are faster, quieter, more efficient, but they've lost that sensory element, that announcement, to the whole house that coffee was being made. As we wrap up the first part of our nostalgic journey through the kitchens of the 1970s, it's impossible not to feel the warmth of these memories. Each item, from the rotary phone to those iconic avocado green appliances and the classic electric percolator, brought life and unique character to our daily routines. These objects were more than just tools. They were silent witnesses to family conversations, laughter, and the comforting rituals that defined an era. Maybe you remember the sound of a dial phone in the background, a fondue night gathered around the table, or the unfailing reliability of your family's trusted pressure cooker. Each one of these household essentials played a part in shaping the comforting atmosphere that made the kitchen the real heart of the home. This was the time when even the simplest container or appliance held a story. And revisiting them now, we reconnect with moments of togetherness and a slower, richer pace of life. If you've enjoyed reminiscing with us so far, Don't forget to give this video a like. Your support means a lot and helps us bring even more stories and memories to the screen. Let's also keep the conversation going. Comment below and tell us, which of these first 6 items brought the strongest wave of nostalgia for you? Was it the color palette, the old coffee ritual, or maybe the sound of a kitchen radio accompanying a family meal? Share your memories. Your stories might just spark someone else's nostalgia too. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore even more kitchen treasures that made their mark on the past.